The problem that I have with the term girls girl is I feel like it has led to women being the feminist and morality police when they use this term. And I also think anytime this term is used to talk about another woman, it's always used to demonize them, it's used to negatively talk about them, and it's never a compliment or a positive thing, which is what the term was originally meant for. Like the original definition is women who are kind to one another, women who uplift other women. But yet whenever someone's trying to talk about a girl's girl, it's always about who's not one. Hello, I've always wanted to discuss the term girls girl, but I feel like I've never had a good enough reason to, just because I don't feel like I could just put up a whole bunch of TikToks of women discussing what this means to them and how a woman in their real life wasn't one, how an influencer isn't one, and yada yada yada. But thankfully, season 7 of Love Island USA has given me a reason to talk about this topic, which I have wanted to talk about since like last year. Let me go ahead and say my opinion of season 7 first. I think it is probably the worst season. Granted, the only seasons of USA I have seen are 6 and this past one, but with UK, that is my tried and true Love Island, right? And I genuinely think season 7, yeah, it just doesn't work. But anyway, before I dive into my problems with it, let me first discuss the term girls girl. So the term girls girl came around like late 2023, early 2024. Do I know who created this term? Do I know what popularized it? No. But it's just basically defining another woman who, I guess, has a large sisterhood around her, who's constantly uplifting other women, who puts women at the forefront of her life. And it was kind of used as a way to combat a pick-me. And a pick-me, y'all should already know what a pick-me is because the internet has ruined that term and it's just like, annoying. But a pick-me is essentially a woman who centers males in her life, and you know, she's not like other girls, she's more tomboyish, she only has friends that are dudes. Oftentimes pick-me's will only have, like if they have a boyfriend, like the boyfriend is likely their only friend, things like that. That's what a pick-me is, and the internet kind of got really annoyed with how popular pick-me's were becoming or how loud and proud they were. So then other women decided to be like, well, I'm a girl's girl, and then this is why like pick-me's aren't. And it just became a circle of like why a certain woman is better than the other woman, because pick-me's think they're better than like stereotypical feminine women. And the thing is, girls also feel like they're better than those types of women. And what I find the most unfortunate about that instance though is that it's always women being other women's biggest haters and bullies. And it's a really unfortunate, honestly, because this is why misogyny is always gonna win. And I'll dive into that more once I start talking about Love Island, but I just wanted to give you a background on being a girl's girl and being a pick-me and why everyone, or I shouldn't say everyone, but people are so frustrated and upset with this season's female cast of Love Island. And I honestly think it has to do with this term that became super mega ginormous. And girl, I'm already talking about it, so let's just dive into it. Now, the reason that I think the women on this show are hated to a crazy ass degree is because season 6 of Love Island USA had two very prominent friendships in it. So we had PPG, which is Serena, Janae, and Leah, and then Liv and Kaylor. I think those were the friendships that were really highlighted in the show, and I feel like they almost got their own storyline. And when the Casa Amor recoupling happened, I mean, all the women were standing in solidarity. They were all really backing each other up, and they had no shame in calling out the men for doing what they did at Casa. So I think because of that being so popular, I have a feeling the fans just expected another situation like that where it was gonna essentially be like a sisterhood going onto the island. People were honestly like, when the original cast came out, one, don't think I forgot, people were calling them fuggos. People were calling them fuggos and saying to take the season back. But another thing is people were seeing the woman and they were just assuming like, OMG, will this be the next PPG? Will this be the next Liv and Kaylor? Yada, yada, yada. And then the more bombshells that came in and the more the female friendships kind of changed, people were still saying like, OMG, OMG.
Sisterhood, friendships, girls, girl, PPG, Liv and Kaylor.
It was just all becoming too much because for all the critiques of it being Friendship Island, the viewers really wanted it to be Friendship Island. The viewers were really hoping to see another PPG and another Liv and Kaylor, and they wanted to see those friendships blossom on the villa, and they didn't. Yeah, I'm here to spoil it if you haven't seen this last season, but it didn't. No, none of these women are going to be the next PPG or Liv and Kaylor. They are not going to be part of the Sisterhood of the Traveling Pants. I'm sorry. But I find it so interesting, though, that the women on the villa, right? Every single woman preached girls code. Every single woman talked about being a girl's girl. Every single woman talked about sisterhood. And in some ways, it was a way to defend their own actions. And in another time, it was to point the finger and point the blame at what the other women were doing that were bothering them. And I find that very interesting because if, let's say a show like The Bachelor had women doing all of that, there would be no show. Because the whole point is these women are supposed to fight for a singular man. So I just find it interesting that in a show like this where the main objective is to literally be in a couple, the women, I feel like, were also basing their actions in the hopes of America liking them. Because I feel like people were making those women in season 6 the definition of being a girl's girl. And so they just wanted to put that same definition onto these women. But I feel like a lot of people are forgetting the nuance that comes with that term. I don't know. I feel like everybody just assumes like women are a monolith. So it's like sisterhood means the same thing to all of us, and being a good woman means the same thing to all of us. And like, you have to understand now with the whole feminism discourse is like, not every woman sees feminism the same. So I feel like the same thing goes for the term girl's girl. I just feel like people are just trying to group women into this one thing of like, okay, yes, you have to be like this one type of girl. Sometimes you're just not gonna get along with every woman. And I find it so crazy that it was the female audience that was trying to push this sisterhood narrative as well. Like, they were confused as to why like not everybody was riding for Hood and why nobody was riding for Amaya. And it was like, y'all, some women are just not gonna get along. Like, what you may think of all of these women, it's like sometimes personalities don't mesh, you guys. Like, sometimes personalities don't freaking mesh. Another thing I have to say on that too is the female audience, BT dubs, who was using Huda's like previous careers or using old photos of her to be like a gotcha moment to uplift their own faves. That's not being a girl's girl, and you're actually just a biatch. Like, I literally, like, point blank, that's how it is. Anybody who is making and encouraging that type of behavior online, you guys are rude. You guys are rude because it's like, I don't even know how it's being used as a gotcha. Please enlighten me. Like, how is that supposed to get her? Like, first of all, she had valid critiques you could have used with her actions on the show. So I don't know what using her past was meant for. And then also when like Huda was suddenly becoming like a really, I don't even know how this switch up happened on the internet, but suddenly Huda was getting like an army of fans and everybody was dogpiling on Shelly, Sierra, and Olandria. Granted, Sierra had valid criticism against her because of those racist posts she was making and using a slur as an adjective. All right. I also think people, when it came to Sierra, they just wanted to be part of the hate train. I genuinely don't think a good majority of them cared about her getting accountability. They wanted to rip her out of that show, not because they cared of what she did, but because they needed her to be out to get Nick and Alandria together. So, yeah, I'm side-eyeing those people because it's like, not like you did a good deed. And then BuzzFeed making this like rude ass post in regards to Shelly for no reason. That was weird. That was weird. And that came from a company. So I don't know, but I also think a woman, I'm going to fact check if a woman made that post, because if so, not very girl's girl again. Oh, and then the cherry on top of all of you bitter, miserable hater people is Vanna. The minute she like got on the villa, people were terrorizing her, like just bullying the crap out of her because of her looks and because they disagreed with her surgery. You people are despicable. Oh, minion alert. Like, you guys are just bitter, miserable hater people. She wasn't even like acting crazy on the show. Granted, I skipped Casa, so I don't actually know how she was behaving. And also people were pulling up photos from high school where I think she already had fillers done. Yes, season 7 is horrible because of the cast, but it's also horrible because of the type of audience that was watching. You people are really miserable. Like, get off your iPhone. Honestly, get off your effing iPhone. That's really the whole message of this video is I think a lot of you guys need to get off your damn iPhone. All of those instances I just mentioned where these women on the show were getting dogpiled on, I feel like people weren't comprehending that these are real humans that are going to come out of the villa and see what is getting made of them. I find it funny that the term girl's girl is something that's so heavily pushed on women because yes, the guys have like bro code, but I feel like that's really the only term that they have to kind of show like, oh, men need to stick together, while women have so many things. We have girl's girl, we have sisterhood, you know. When you say you're a feminist, like people often assume like you have to fall in those two categories as well. And it's just kind of like, there's just so much where people are like forcing every woman to get along. Then it's like a problem in a reality TV show where, you know, one woman is getting pointed as the villain. And it's like, how is this productive anyway? Because when Nick and Alandria first kissed and made out, nobody batted an eye. Like, everybody was like rooting for that to happen because I mean, I do think they were probably like the biggest ship of the season, but nobody cared because it was their two faves kissing, right? However, when Huda and Chris kissed outside of a challenge, when they came back from Casa, and again, Chris was said to like have interest in Shelly and Huda, I think at this time, like I think he said he liked both of them at this point. Well, that was a problem for Olandria, Shelly, and Sierra. Like, it was, you know, against girl code or against sister. I forgot what term they used when they were like, why did you kiss him and stuff like that. And it's like, how is that not okay? How is that not okay? Like, they're literally in a couple. I don't know, but it just goes to show like Sierra, Shelly, and Olandria didn't like Huda. Like, it's very obvious, like, they did not vibe with her. And I just think that's a great example of 3 of these women did not vibe with one of them. So when they did something that they did not like, obviously it became a problem. But then Shelly didn't tell Olandria a thing. And Sierra didn't tell Olandria a thing. It wasn't until Iris was like, oh, you're such a cool girl for not caring. I think ultimately the problem with the term girls girl though is that it's such a hypocritical phrase, and I don't think it actually means a thing, because when people try and negatively say why someone isn't one, it's always something that they would be completely fine with if someone they liked was doing it. You know what I mean? Being a girls girl, right, is supporting other women, backing them up. And when Amaya was getting dogged on by 3 grown-ass stupid men, not a single woman said like, stop, shut up, like, the fact that Shelly and whoever was coupled up with Austin at that time wasn't like just grabbing his damn lips and being like, enough isn't enough. Like, hello, stop. I feel like every single woman at this point did something on the show, even Amaya Papaya, you guys, even Amaya Papaya. They all did something on the show where I was like, this is weird. Like, this is really weird. Yes, I understand why the women were so male-centered at this point. Is because, again, it's a show about love. But they were so male-centered about horrible men. Austin. Honestly, I think the overall point I want to make with this video isn't necessarily like girls girl is kind of like a shield for women to use. It's more so how I think the internet is really negatively impacting in real life friendships and romantic relationships, because that term was something we only ever saw online. And then I'm actually starting to hear, you know, so-and-so isn't a girl's girl, or like, OMG, she's such a girl girl. Like, I'm starting to hear that phrase in real life, and it's really scary. I just feel like it's not productive, and I think it says a lot about other people in how they use that phrase. Like, sometimes I catch people saying it, and it's honestly the worst woman I've ever met. Everyone and their mama is shouting from their rooftops how they don't owe anybody anything, and you know what, they're introverted, or they're shy, or they have social anxiety, so like they can't be kind to one another, but yet they also hate when a girl isn't a girl's girl to them. And it's like, I'm very sorry to tell you this, but you cannot have both. You cannot say you don't owe anybody anything and then expect a woman to not bounce on the man that you're crushing on if you've never told him that. Like, what? Why does she owe you anything? Why? Like, I feel like it's just a shield to point blame at women when they get upset when they're not using their own words. Like, I find it funny how sometimes people will say like, oh yeah, she isn't a girl's girl because, you know, she was talking to the dude I like. Keep in mind, like, she never once told that girl she likes the guy, and it was just a thing of like, oh yeah, I think he's cute. What I find funny though is sometimes it's not always about men. It's about minuscule ass things to just, you know, discreetly say that they don't like another woman. Just say you don't like her. I feel like it'll be so much easier if you just say you don't like this woman instead of just saying she's not a girl's girl. Because I feel like girl's girl holds this weight of like, OMG, she's not part of the sisterhood. She's not a feminist. When in reality, you're saying that because you just don't like the girl. I genuinely think this term came because, you know, people don't feel comfortable saying they just like dislike someone if they haven't done anything that's like cancelable. So they feel like they need to like throw out this stupid ass term. Because it wasn't until Sierra said those slurs that people were starting to say like she wasn't a girl's girl and like she was bad and she was too male centered, she was too focused on Nick. I mean, look, she stood behind Taylor, yada, yada, yada. This is a dating show. Because here's the thing, nobody got mad that Pepe stood behind someone he wanted to get to know. No one got mad at Pepe, and that just goes to show, again, that women are just held to some like insane standard that men never are. And it's crazy because it's women holding that standard to other women. The term girls girl, I've never heard a man use that term. And people were throwing that at Sierra. Like, what? Nobody was mad that Pepe didn't stand behind, what's his face, TJ. But everyone was upset that Sierra didn't stand behind just like another woman, like someone who wasn't Taylor. You know, the internet just loves to dogpile on women that they do not like, and they have to use terms like this to make it seem like it's a valid critique. I just think at the end of the day, all of the season 7 women are getting much more backlash and much more hate compared to the males on the show, when the males behaved the exact same way as the woman. Honestly, they did worse. They did worse than the woman, but people are dogpiling on the woman more. And I don't know if it's because they hold them to a different sense of morals than the men, which maybe they do, because I feel like Love Island is primarily a female audience. But it's just like, again, that just goes to show misogyny is always the real winner in this. It's never about sisterhood. It's always about that the men are always gonna freaking win. Because no one is under all of these men's comments saying things in the same way people are commenting on Olandria and Sierra and Shelly, you know, and all the other women. Like, nobody cares. Nobody cares about what they did. Women are still the first ones to leave hateful ass comments under Huda's page. And women are also the same ones leaving hateful ass comments under Shelly's page. Like, really, like, what is it? what is it? Like, just leave these women alone, because in all honesty, the way these fans are acting, it's not very girls girl to me. This rant was all over the place, but you know, I just really wanted to talk about the term girls girl, and I feel like how it's not even a real critique. Like, it's not even a real thing, honestly. Like, it's just some made up phrase to point blame and criticism on another woman without calling it like it is. I just wish men had more phrases the way women do. I don't know, I feel like on the internet it's a scary thing to be called not a girl's girl and to be called a pick me instead. But yeah, that's my video. It was just a long ass rant, and it was all over the place because I'm just like upset when I talk about this type of stuff, especially as I'm talking about it, I'm remembering certain things that happened on the show and how the audience felt about it, and how I just feel like they were just so quick to point the blame on the women compared to the men. I'm sure Shelly's comments are still flooded with hate, while Ace is probably not that bad. And I think that's the most unfortunate part in all of this, is that women are always the one getting blamed on for men's actions, and it's ridiculous. And you know, if you really were part of the sisterhood, like, it doesn't seem very girls girl to leave all these hateful ass comments under these women's pages. But yeah, that's all I have for today. My throat is getting dry. Like, I've been talking too damn much. So yeah, I'll see you in my next video. Let me know what you think about the term girls girl. Do you think it's actually a valid thing? Do you use it in the proper way? I mean, do you catch yourself using it more to compliment other women, or do you use it more to be like, well, she isn't one? You know, I'm curious, like, and do you think that social media really impacted the show? Like, you know, internet speak. But yeah, I'll catch you in my next one. Bye.